All right, ready? So with our handsome Mr. Leon, we're going to practice a little bit with some weights, and then we're going to try to implement some of our weighting and sort of maybe practicing as well with some of our proper hellos. So with proper hellos with new people, there can be moments where a novel person coming into the home can actually be harder for some than meeting someone outside of the home. So from the pup's perspective, the home is where they feel safest, and novelty showing up there can throw them off and make them more, maybe let's say, for example, overwhelmed. For some puppies, it gets them really excited. So for some, you go from one area of woohoo to oh no. So you do sometimes end up with bigger responses in the household. So for Mr. L, when we're working with some weights can be later for down the road, weight before being called in general, but also weight before coming through the doorway, weight before meeting and greeting someone. We do want to make sure, though, that when we're doing some proper hellos with other people is that the dog is still part of the equation where they still have some consent and autonomy for the engagement. So if even though your puppy is adorable and other people would like to say hi to your dog or your puppy, the problem with not giving them some autonomy is that your pup might think new people always equal getting bombarded. So, or no matter what I say at a whisper, no one listens, and now I have to get bigger to make that thing give me space or give me some feelings of safety. So for Mr. Elm, we are going to practice a little bit. My colleague Sam is here, so she's going to be helping out a little bit today and figuring out the ins and outs of day school, since she is going to be rocking her own day school sessions on Monday. So this way she got to see a little bit more of how I set up the day and how we go through the pups and practice all of our fun program setup. Ready? Nice job. So let's say we were trying to work some weights, and your puppy is really having a hard time holding still, you can again work find it with then recall practice. So for some puppies, he is a bit tired, so he might do just fine. Some of them are a little bit more wiggly worms. Excuse me. So if you're finding that your puppy is having a really hard time being stationary, you may find it better to go into a find it. And then from here, ready? Leon, come. Yes, and then work that little recall from a find it. So ready? And then Leon, come. Yes, what a good job. So this way your puppy is still getting the chance to practice the recall slogan and working the coming towards you from the environment. If you're busy like me and sometimes you're blabbing and you don't get to ask your puppy for the particular slogan, the main goal is if your puppy comes into your space and they offer behaviors that you like, still feed, because you're then depositing deposit into that bank account for behavior to happen again later. So if we are stingy and we only do things when it was like when we were ready, the problem there is your babe may have done some really nice automatic check-ins, been given nothing for the hard work, and then decide later when you call them, maybe there's no benefit in coming and checking in with us. So definitely capture those little moments that he's given you the things you'd like to have happen again. Leon, come. So that way you can help him be really successful for down the road. Smart boy. So let's say we're going to try a bit with our sit or down and wait. So for my guys, it's up to you guys too for hand signals. I normally for wait will do like an open finger, like wait a moment. With my stay, I do like almost like a stop sign, open palm. He's like, lady, you're blabbing too long. So with my wait, it's normally wait a moment is how I think about it. And then I call my dog to me. So I'm going to get this little sit. I'm going to tell him to wait. And I'm going to have him hang there for just a second or two. Leon, come. And you'll see that right now, just like we mentioned a little bit earlier, is we're going to work on the duration, not the distance. We already have distractions in general in the building because not everything is a vacuum, but with the distraction levels as low as they can be for this setting. So if I worked all three of those elements, he's like, lady, you're so boring, I'm going to lay down. Yeah, you can lie down. So we'll get a beautiful little down from our handsome man. So if, let's say, for example, you were working distance and distractions and duration all at the same time, your babe will more than likely not be super successful. Those are great ways to start upping the difficulty as the puppy's mastering a skill. So right here, he's getting nice and relaxed, which is beautiful. I'm going to tell him to wait. And then if I go to add a little bit of movement, it might be from side to side versus, for example, moving and adding distance. So he's like, this is great. If though me adding movement, notice how he then got up, that means I'm probably making a little bit too hard too fast, or he's a little concerned or confused. So if let's say we're going to try and work another little, maybe for example, down weight, I'm going to lower him to the down. I'm going to feed him for the down position. And now I'm going to tell him to, if I can, have him to wait before I want him to come forward. For some puppies, the down position is much harder than doing a sit wait. So if you're finding he's struggling, lower the criteria and help him be successful with the skill that might have been more attainable. So for him, maybe we rock first a few sit waits, and then we see if we can rock those instead. So notice how me adding a few steps, he wiggles. So again, wait. Leon, come. So if he goes to wiggle, he's not in trouble. We don't want to scold him or get mad at him or do the The problem with, and I'm just going to throw a few snacks just to reboot him, let him get up and wiggling again. The problem with scolding your puppy for breaking and coming to you is that technically from his perspective, breaking and coming to you is the end goal for weight. So why is it okay one moment and not the next? So as opposed to scolding or getting agitated with your puppy for making the mistake, we want to instead just reset them up and just start the game again. Eventually he'll start to realize that the full picture of a wait behavior is to wait until you get called, and then that becomes the release word. Oh, he found the snack he lost earlier. Leon, come. Yes. So right here, just a gorgeous little recall from the environment. So we'll try again a little sit. We're going to tell him to wait, have him hold it for a few seconds. He's like, my brain melted. If you're finding too, like let's say Mr. L's capabilities are kind of fizzling out, he is more than likely getting a little tired. Oh, he found the snack he lost earlier too. He's like, we can't leave those behind. Ready? Leon. He did just go out for a potty break, so we should be okay with going to the restroom at least for pees. Ready? Nice check-in, sir. So let's say your puppy right now is getting a bit tired from the exercise. Don't feel you have to always end on like a good note. This doesn't mean you want your training to always end where you're like pulling your hair out and your puppy wants to run away and say never again. But if you constantly are making them work into the point where they finally end on a good note, you may make your puppy so tired or so flustered that maybe training becomes more like boot camp than something fun and easy and attainable. Good job, cutie. Ready? That's a very nice sit. So maybe we'll rock a little down just for something easy. Just rotate through some puppy push-ups just for a moment. Nice. Ready? Stand. He's like, do I need to? Yes. Nice job. So remember, if certain ones are harder for him, I might even jackpot him, which again is giving him several snacks for that behavior that I want to have happen again. Nice job, sir. So if, for example, being stationary is really hard for your puppy, remember how important movement behaviors can be, even when you might be doing meets and greets with other new family members or friends or whoever might be coming to visit. So, oh good, he did catch it. I was like, he's gonna go under the camera and he'll knock the whole stand over, which is always really entertaining. Mr. T almost did that one day by mistake. So right here, a good little positive interrupter just to get his attention from the floor. So if we were to practice with a friend or a family member, or maybe your neighbor wants to be like a helpful, person to practice with, I would make sure that when you do some hellos, not always does your puppy get to meet and greet if they're an eager beaver. And if they're a nervous Nelly, to get them more comfortable with people, you don't force the interactions. So we want to make sure his body language is looking comfortable, he's soft and loose and fluid. Some puppies can look like they're doing okay, but they're actually doing one of the F's, which is fidget. So a puppy that's a bit overwhelmed could be very floppy and wiggly, but they might actually be a bit stressed out and trying to create distance by trying to do some appeasement behaviors. So even eager beavers could be sometimes actually stressed, and what looks like a happy dog could be an anxious dog. So if you're not always sure as to what your babe might be telling you for body language, I know we sent along in the beginning, nice job, some different visuals as well as book recommendations. Not saying you have to go out and get your own doggy library, but there are some really great books that I would highly recommend that are really nice, almost like a Pictionary of dog body language. One of them is the Canine Body Language, a Photographic Guide. and that one is, I believe, by Brenda Aloff. So that could be another great option to add to your little library. And it breaks down your dog's body language from their facial expressions, their ears set, their body posture, and their tail set. And it goes through, for example, calming signals to distance increasing signals, play versus like aggression. So a little bit of everything. So it could be a great way. The more that we understand what he's saying, the more likely we are to set him up for success too. Nice. So maybe for a moment, Sam, do you mind coming over? So Sam's been patiently waiting for her debut. This is my good colleague, Sam. So she's going to be helping out. Mr. L says, how exciting. So if, let's say, your person was coming in loose into the environment and your puppy was feeling comfortable, like Mr. L has already met Sam, so now it's not so exciting. But if, let's say, new friends tend to equal a lot of woohoo, I would start this on leash. You can also set up your puppy on, for example, a separate bubble of the home, which could be like a baby gate, a corral, X pen of some kind, or even a crate in a separate room, whatever feels comfortable. Good job, sir. So, but if, for example, company equals amazing snacks, so some folks have been told, give your family friends some nice snacks and have them hand feed the pups. The problem with hand feeding a dog that might be apprehensive or excited is that it starts to make them lose their concept of feeling safe and might want the food. And then when the food is out of range, there's that person again. It could have surprised them or startled them. So we also don't want them to pick comfort, for example, feeling safe versus I need food as well, and create that conflict. So if, let's say, for example, this was my new friend or family member and my puppy was not this focused, I would start with a leash on. Then what you're going to end up doing is feeding your puppy for kind of ignoring the friend. But then what we might do is pair, let's say, some calm near the friend with some movement skills, which could be those find its, a snuffle mat. You might even have also items for him to work on. So let's say my friend or family member, or Sam, for example, is hanging out. I'm going to have Mr. L practice approaching and then moving away. So step number one would be getting your puppy to softly approach. This would only be done with a comfortable puppy. If the puppy was nervous, I would at no point make the puppy get closer to earn snacks from me or from a friend throwing food down the road. But we want him to think that maybe when we approach, it doesn't always equal let's wrestle or play. So again, we'd move away. Nice. So you can also make it where, let's say your friend or family member is hanging out, you can then also do some find its off to the side versus having the main person be the culprit or the fun object in the room. Nice job, sir. If you were to give food to the friend or family member, I would make sure that they offer food by doing find its. If the puppy is a very eager beaver, the benefit again of find it's like, let's pretend I was the new person. Oh, there's the guy, he missed another one. So if I was the really cool new person, I would give them lower to medium snacks, and then you could have higher value snacks. And then that family member could be throwing some food. The find its are also a great way for, let's say, a small child to also include some training, but not have it be involved with the mouth or the bitey end, because sometimes puppies are a little bit harder with how they take food. Mr. L is actually really gentle, but if that mouth starts to get mouthier, he's probably getting overtired. So let's say, for example, he's like, lady, I'm ready. He's still pooped out. So let's say we're going to go ahead and maybe new company might do a couple little find its. What we could also have the new friend do is a find it and then either name or, for example, find it and maybe the kissy noise to help him come check in and then send him away again. So maybe what we'll do is I'll send him away and then maybe Sam, you got a couple snacks on you. So maybe from the distraction here, we'll maybe see if he comes towards you, and if he's interested, then we can even just toss a snack and make it fun for him. He's like, hold up, so many good smells. So if, let's say, he's a little distracted, we could even try his little kissy noise and see if we can get his attention. Nice. He's like, was it you? Oh, it was you. Nice. Perfect. So the benefit of having a new friend be legitimately like a broken slot machine is that it can help a dog feel more comfortable thinking that the person is there, but not having to be intimate. We tend to, as people, want to go right into touching and caressing dogs, which is fine if you already have a rapport with that dog. There goes the AC. So he's like, what the heck? He's like, save me, crazy snack lady. Here, you can come get some snacks for being so brave. So if your puppy, for example, He's a little bit unsure about something. So like right here, he's like, "Ooh, creepy." We might go into some finders as well, just to help diffuse the situation. But if when he is, let's say, interested in the company, having those find its are a great way to build in that new people don't have to be always physical with him. So we'll do a few more little moments with Mr. L. He says, "Oh, but she's got snackers too." Right there. So very nice, a little kissy. Smart man. Gorgeous. If you were getting a lot of jumping, it tends to also be some stress signals. So if your puppy is doing a lot of leaping, they could be overexcited, a little overwhelmed. They could be also very tired. So puppies that tend to jump a lot tend to not know what to do with themselves when they get overwhelmed or too excited. Nice job. He's like, "I'm going to just go hang out with the snack lady." Good job, sir. So, but if let's say he was getting so much more comfortable, I could technically go and approach my company. We could do a couple little fun things nearby, and then we'd move away from our friend. Nice. But you want your puppy to almost think that people coming over, it's not like he can't get happy or excited, but we don't want him to think that new friends always equal pummel them with, that excitement or that energy. So we might go closer to our friend. Nice job. Doing such a good, he's like, "I don't even care." He's like, "I'm going to hang out right here." What a smart boy. So again, we'll move away. Good job. So then we'll go and do a little setup again near Sam. Ready, sit. Yes, good job. And then maybe we'll do you want to go say hi? And I might bring him over and he can do a little visit. He's like, "No, I want more snacks." That's okay. So allowing your puppy, so you'll see that when I brought him over towards Sam, he didn't really care so much to do the engagement. He'd rather have food, which again, I understand. I also am a foodie. So you will have moments where if your puppy could care less about their food, is unable to offer previous learned skills or be able to be comfortable to do play or redirect, then they're also no longer learning in that setting. So remember, whatever he is practicing, he's getting really good at, even the stuff we don't really love. Good job, sir. So, but maybe we'll give Mr. L a little break because he is winded. Ready? We'll do a little find it. And thanks, Sam, for helping. We'll let Mr. L take a little break.